Hey everyone, we have Nicole Masters on out here from the West Coast, a realtor and fellow house hacker. And I wanted to bring her on to tell her story about some of the interesting things she's doing in real estate. Welcome aboard, Nicole.
Hello, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well. So tell my audience a little bit about you, where you're from, and what got you into real estate.
My husband and I live in Sacramento, California, in Northern California. I'm actually originally from Oregon, so my whole family still lives in Oregon. That's where like all of my ties are. But we moved out here when I was 22, so I've been living out here for about 7 years now. And then we have been house hacking for about 3.5 years. We do a rent by the room strategy, and then we've been investors since then. And then since then, we've purchased two Airbnbs. So we do Airbnb and then house hacking. And then I'm also an agent. And then my husband's an Airbnb manager. So we're all real estate all the time.
Awesome. That's great. And well, let's start with your house hack because it
Mhm.
sounds like this is what allowed you to start investing in Airbnbs. So tell us what you're doing with that.
Yeah, totally. House hacking is one of the least sexy things out there, but it is one of the most, I'd say it'll like groundbreaking, like it's going to get you the furthest. It's just not as like much fun to talk about, I feel like for a lot of people. So we have been doing it, like I said, for 3.5 years. It was the first house we ever purchased. We always had the intention of when we bought the house to rent out the bedrooms. But we didn't really know what we were getting into until we started doing it. And now I feel like we have it like perfected because we still live with all of our roommates. So to this day, 3.5 years later, we still have six roommates.
That's so cool. So a lot of people will house hack, and you hear the typical, I buy a duplex, live in one side, rent out the other. And some people do room by room rents, but they usually don't fill up a house with five other roommates.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how it is living with five people and how you vetted those people to live with you.
Yeah. So to touch base really quick on your duplex comment,
Yeah.
most people do get duplexes, right? It's like it's the easiest, I'd say, to like have that separate space. Personally, when we started looking for homes, I didn't love the neighborhoods that the duplexes were in. We have dogs. Now we have two dogs. At the time we had one, but I love like taking my dog for a walk. I like going on walks. I like just being able to be outside. And I was willing, like when my husband and I were talking about what it would take for me to be willing to have a bunch of roommates, I said that I would rather, or house hack in general, I said that I would rather have roommates that live in the house with us than live in a duplex because I like single family neighborhoods better. And I can't choose my neighbors, but I can choose who lives with us. And so that was personally why we bought a single family house. And then just for appreciation, a single family home is going to appreciate a lot faster than a duplex. And then as far as like picking roommates, so when we first moved in, I didn't think anyone would want to like rent a bedroom in a house. I didn't know anyone else who was doing it. I thought we were a little bit crazy. So I basically just started campaigning anyone I knew personally, like boots on the ground to live with us. Like I remember going to work parties and asking like anybody around us who wanted to live with us. I would go to like friends, like hangouts and see who wanted to live with us. So I actually got four roommates from that, from like boots on the ground being like, who wants to live with us? So we got four roommates that way. Which living with friends, everyone says like not to do it. And I thought, I'm different. We'll be able to do it. It'll be totally fine. And I will say, living with friends is a lot more difficult than I think people think. So we didn't do any background checks. We didn't ask for security deposits. We didn't do credit score checks. We didn't do anything. We just had like our friends move in and we gave them a cheap rate to like rent from us monthly. And then they filled up three out of our five extra bedrooms. And so for the other two people, we had to do, the more traditional, like post an ad, bring people in. That's where I started to figure out the systems and checks. And that's where I started to like run background checks and figure out about calling like old landlords and that kind of stuff. And then we were able to bring in two other people, and slowly the friends started to move out and we were able to like replace them with other people. So I've got my system down really well now.
Cool. So the friends moved out. You didn't have any horror stories with your friends living there, or did you?
Um, It was just not a good fit
Yeah.
for some of the so our standards, we didn't have any standards. When we let people move in, we let them bring their dog, we let them bring their cats. We weren't charging any extra. One of the people that moved in had a kid part of the time, which we thought, yeah, I know. Now looking back, we were like, what were we thinking? But we're like, yeah, it's a 3-year-old. They'll only be here part of the time. It's no problem. Like we were making exceptions to everything. Everybody, every single one of those friends had a pet. Again, we weren't asking for any deposits. Like yeah, we didn't establish any boundaries. So there's a little bit of horror stories there. They're all still good people. I don't have anything bad to say about them, but it just didn't work. So we separated ways. And then getting in people where we could actually set like boundaries and standards, and this is how we do things, has been a lot better.
Yeah, definitely having those systems in place to set expectations early just sets you up better.
Yes, totally. And if it had been just us and the one, for example, the friend who had a kid, if it was just us and them, it would have been fine. But the fact that we had so many other people that lived there, it's like you have to consider how everyone else is feeling about that situation.
Yeah,
Same with animals. Like everyone who moved in knew there were that many animals, but that's a lot of animals in the house
yeah,
between all those different people.
definitely. So no like horror stories as far as I have to post an eviction on the door of one of my tenants inside of my
No,
house.
no evictions. We've never, knock on wood, done anything like that. It's just a conversation. It's like a, hey, this
Yeah,
isn't, I don't think this is working for you. It's not really working for us. And because they're our friends, like giving them ample amount of time. It's not even like a, hey, you have 30 days. Like, hey, you have 3 months to find something else. Like, let's just
yeah,
start working towards this not working.
yeah. So 3 years down the road or 3.5 years down the road, now you guys
Mhm.
have two Airbnbs and was your house hacking? It seems like this is how you saved up money to be able to do
Totally.
this.
Yeah, yeah, that's how we were able to save up money. That's how, like I was able to go full time into real estate. Like being a real estate agent is by, obviously our expenses are way less stressful. Like our mortgage is completely covered. We cover all of the expenses for people, but all of those are covered between the rent. And yeah, we were able to get our first short-term rental in Joshua Tree. That worked out okay. We actually just turned it into a long-term rental this last year because we didn't buy the right kind of house. We didn't really know what we were doing at the time. And then we just bought a large cabin that sleeps 20 people last December. And that one we went in with partners. So we bought it with some real estate friends, and that one we own 50% of, but we manage that one.
Yeah, I would say that one looks really cool. And
It
wow,
is.
I mean, I don't know how the numbers are looking, but just as far as advertising and putting it out there, anybody that hasn't seen it, definitely check it out because it's really freaking cool.
Yeah, it's just really, so if anyone's, because I hate when I'm listening to audio only and I'm like, well, what does it look like?
Yeah.
It's this really cool like 4,500 square foot cabin that's 45 minutes south of the Yosemite entrance, the south entrance. It's A-frame, so it has like a big A-frame where the living room is, and then a couple other A-frames as it goes along in the other bedrooms, and then this big like tree house looking thing that was an addition, and that has a pool table up in the top, and it's on 9 acres. We bought it for just over 1 million. We've probably put 200 something thousand back into it between like redoing the landscaping and just like deferred maintenance issues that was going on with it. We bought it December of last year and got hit really hard with some major snowstorms that caused a lot of damage too. So we've been through the ringer with that one, but it's a super cool house.
And you have one hot tub on there, or is there multiple hot tubs?
We just added a second hot
Okay.
tub. So the Joshua Tree property, because it didn't work out as an Airbnb, we took the hot tub from that. We brought it all the way up to our house up in Sacramento. Never used it. It filled with rainwater. We never touched it. Then we brought it back down to Yosemite. So now there's two hot tubs. Then I haven't posted any pictures, but we just got a fence put along the outside of them with like towel hooks. It's super cool. Added a picnic table, a bunch of stuff.
That's so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope it works out well for you. Now, is there any issues as far as I know we're getting off the track of house hacking, but really this is all in the same thing since this is what allowed you to do what you do. Is there
totally.
any issue with the areas that you bought Airbnbs, like maybe restrictions not allowing that in the future, or is it pretty safe for an Airbnb area?
Well, Joshua Tree, I mean, if you just look into it,
It's
you'll
very
you'll find
popular. Yeah,
it's super popular. You just have to get a permit. So we just made sure that we got a permit for that. And then for the area that we do it with the big cabin, we have to get a business license and we comply with all the taxes and stuff like that. That's not my portion of the business. So I don't know. That's our partners. He's the one who took care of that. So I actually don't know all the details, but I do know that we're okay to be there.
cool. So looking forward, now you have two Airbnbs, you have a house hack. Do you have any intention of house hacking another place, or are you just comfortable where you're at?
Yeah, that's the plan. Originally, when we bought the house, we thought that we would just house hack every year. That's kind of, I think, the goal, right? To use a conventional loan, and as you move out, replace your bedroom with someone else. But we bought our house in 2020, and prices raised so quickly. Even with low interest rates, it just it became a lot harder to find a house that would make sense for us. At the time, now looking back, interest rates were so great. We should have just bought something, but we ended up going the Airbnb route instead. So we wanted to continue to buy them. And we do want to move out sometime this year and buy another house where we can build an ADU in the back, or it has an ADU, but we'll probably have to build it because my family's from Oregon, like I said, and like I have never been able to have any of my friends or family come stay with us because they'd have to sleep on an air mattress in our bedroom. So it's a sacrifice we've been making for a long time.
Yeah.
And I miss my family. I'd really like to see them in that way again. So we'd like to build an EDU where we can do it as a short-term rental when we're not using it for family, but allow family and friends to stay with us. And then probably still continue to house hack the main house with ourselves and get at least one roommate, maybe two. It just depends.
Yeah, I mean that's the longer you can delay gratification and just be willing to do that, like it's really not bad. I so many people have such a negative impression on house hacking. They're like, I don't want to live with people. When we're younger, most of us have roommates when we're renting.
Yeah.
I don't know what switches in our brain that for some reason it's a problem and I don't want to do it once I have my own house.
Yeah, I get that pushback all the time. And like even my mom, when I first told her about what we were doing, she still to this day calls it our boarding house. Because I mean, there is a lot of people in it,
Yeah,
but you know, I'm a real estate agent, so I'm always trying to convince, like, we don't have kids. Like, I have a lot of friends my age that I think this is what they should do. They should buy a house, get roommates, help, even if it doesn't pay the mortgage, cover some of the mortgage, save that money. And then, you know, you can make $10,000, $12,000 in 1 year from one roommate. What kind of vacation could you go on with that money? Like that's how I always phrase it. But I met with like a lot of resistance from people who don't want roommates. And I get it to an extent, but if you're just doing your checks and balances and you're willing to just put up with it for a little bit of time, you can gain so much from it.
100%. Yeah, I mean, this is what half of my month of podcasts are built on is house hackers and people like you coming on and telling people how it's not as bad as a lot of people think and
No,
really isn't.
you pick the right roommates. Like, and I will say it's kind of like a coworker when you first like, you know, start a job and there's this one coworker that he thinks cool, but you guys don't really talk. And, you know, over a year or so, you work up to a relationship and now you guys go get drinks after and stuff like that. That's how it is with like a lot of our roommates. Like, our roommate our now roommate that's been there the longest, she's like, we're gonna go on a backpacking trip together in July with her and her boyfriend. Her and her boyfriend came and visit us in Joshua Tree. We do like Secret Santa every Christmas. We have a Christmas tree party set up. That's our like one party of the year. We'll do taco night together. And then sometimes I don't see people for like a month at a time. So it's not like we eat family dinner together every night, but like we spend time around each other. Like we can, you know, we can be friends, we can hang out. And if you just pick people that like the same things that you like, you'll end up becoming friends with them.
Right. Yeah, you're obviously a social person, so you likely pick people that you don't mind talking to or that are outgoing when there's other people at house hack that are more reserved, so they're trying to pick people that are more introverted as well so that they want to kind of stay in their room and do their own thing.
Totally.
So,
And we
yeah.
and we have plenty of people that will just eat their dinner in their room,
Yeah.
even though we have plenty of space downstairs. But sometimes people don't want to socialize after
Yeah.
like a long day at work, and no one ever forces someone to socialize. Like
Yeah.
there's this one hallway you can walk down where you don't see anyone in the kitchen, and it's kind of this like unspoken rule. If someone's walking down the hallway, it means that they just don't want to talk. We also have some stuff like that. Like there's a living room and a family room because of how big our house is, and they're on separate ends of the house. The family room has the TV. That's the comfy sectional. That's kind of like the hangout spot. The other space, I even tell people when I'm like giving them tours of the house, like this is the quiet room. If you want to read a book, if you don't want to be bothered, you can just go in this space and kind of no one's going to talk to you. So there's these like unwritten rules you can kind of talk about at the beginning to like set boundaries in this space as well.
Yeah, and that's good that you do that. And that's how you have a successful house hack, especially when you're doing it room by room. It's those boundaries up front that will make or break the people that you're living with. And yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy up front. Like it's super easy to be like, hey, we have, you know, we provide the silverware. I don't want mixed in, you know, your
Yeah.
random fork or plate or whatever the thing is. You can, if you want to bring a couple mugs, you can. You know, this one shelf on the pantry is yours. Anything you put on there, no one's allowed to touch. However, the rest of the space up for grabs. If you have a special spice that costs $30, you might want to keep it on your shelf. If you put in the spice rack, then anyone can use it. And so
Yeah.
we just set those standards up front so people know if they have the special cup that they can keep it on their shelf. But if they're okay with people using it, then it goes in the shared space.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't do that with mine. As far as like I let people have their own plates and silverware and everything, but I give them their cabinet space. You also have a lot more people living with you than I do, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we do have a lot. Well, so we kind of have taken some of like our Airbnb rules into the house. Like for the dishware, it's all just white, plain dishware. No one can put their other dishware in there. So it's all the same plates, it's all the same bowls. It's something that we can easily reorder from Amazon if something gets broken. So we just try to have like systems set up for the main things because otherwise it starts to look like there's five people living in one house when there's seven different types of plates, all different colors, all different shapes. We try to just keep things like really clean.
yeah, I like that. So for the first time house hacker, somebody really looking to get into this, thinking about doing the room by room rent like you, what would be your words of advice to the person looking into this style of house hacking?
Yeah, first think about like what you want out of someone. So picture your perfect avatar. Like who is your perfect roommate? Is it someone that's way older than you that you want to just, stay in the room and maybe you don't want to like be able to connect with them? Is it someone that's around your age, similar interests, so you guys can like maybe become friends? Like you have to figure out what type of person you're looking for. There was one time when I was looking for a roommate and I don't know why, but I just felt for that specific person, I really wanted like a young preschool teacher. Like that's just young 20s, like that. I don't know. That's just the vibe I had in my head. And that's the person that we ended up picking. So have an idea of like what type of person that you want in there. And then also think about schedules for people. So if you're having people that share bathrooms, like for us, we live in the master, so we have our own private bathroom, but there's two other bathrooms that the other six people are sharing. So you have to think about the way that those people are going to share the bathroom. If you're doing like all females, which our house is now all females, if you're doing all females, they're going to want to probably get ready at the same time. So like one of my bathrooms, I have a preschool teacher and a flight attendant in because the flight attendant takes showers at midnight and the preschool teacher takes showers at 5 a.m. when she's getting ready for her day. So opposite schedules. Same with work from home. You don't want all work from home people unless you're okay with people being home all the time. Those are just like things to consider.
Yeah, definitely. And let's touch on also before it kind of just popped in my head, but you're married living in a house hack. Do you only allow one person per room?
We do now. So remember when I said the four friends that moved
Yeah.
in, two of them left before a year came up. The other two were a couple, and they're what made it six roommates. Moving forward, we're gonna have five. They're actually leaving at the end of this month. They're our original roommates. They've lived in that house every day as long as we have. We actually shared a
Wow.
U-Haul with them. So we've never lived in that house a day without them. So they're actually moving out at the end of this month. And after them, like I will not have any other couples, not because of anything specific that they did, just it's double the amount of people for usually about the same amount of rent. You're really not making extra rent on it. It's double the cars, double the laundry, double the utilities. Also, every couple fights, like including my husband and myself, like we have to really do a good job of not bickering in the kitchen or anywhere where it's uncomfortable for other people. And when you have a couple, it's a lot harder to control. Not that I'm controlling, but it's a lot harder to manage two people than it is one. And nothing against them. They were
Yeah,
great, but they were also friends. So I could also be really candid in my conversations with them. But
gotcha.
no, moving forward, we would not have any other couples live with us.
Gotcha. So if anybody wanted to find you, Nicole, where could they reach out?
Yeah, our Instagram, househacking_masters is our best spot. I do check the DMs. I check all of them. I respond to everybody. I need to actually go through all of our DMs right now, but I do go through those multiple times a week. So if you send me a message on there, you'll definitely get an answer. We don't post as much about our house hacking as we do about our Airbnbs, just because Airbnbs are so much like sexier. But I love talking about house hacking. Like I'm a total nerd for it. I have a ton of systems and processes. I really enjoy it. So you can always shoot me a question on there.
Awesome. So as you are busy, I'm sure you're still looking at content, looking at new ways to do things. So what is your favorite podcast or YouTube channel that you're watching right now?
So, okay, I read your email because you asked this, kind of gave us a heads up. You specifically in there said it does not have to be real estate related.
Yep.
So I'm going to say not real estate related. I actually don't love to listen to real estate podcasts.
Okay.
It's all I do all day. My work is real estate. All my husband and I talk about is real estate. There's just times where I want to unplug. So I actually really like comedy podcasts. That's like my
Okay.
go-to. So there's like The Endless Honeymoon is one I listen to. There's something called Time Suck by Dan Cummins. There's another one called Camp Counselors. I also like my favorite murder, like a murder podcast. Like
Okay.
those are the kinds of things I like to listen to because all I do is think and talk and breathe real estate. So I like to listen to stuff that's not real estate.
Awesome. Fair. Very fair. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for coming on, and I love hearing these stories, and it seems like you are doing absolutely great with this.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm always happy to talk about it. So